Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another session of the APAC ELT 2024 conference. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Isabella Campos. She is a graduate teacher and a teacher educator in the field of language acquisition. She has a wide range of experience as a teacher, teacher training, and academic coordinator, and she's involved in the creation and implementation of language program in bilingual schools and language centers. Her true passions include the teaching of English to young learners and also the developments in the teaching and learning process. Isabella holds a bachelor's degree in language and a diploma bilingual degree in education, and she's currently finishing her master's in professional development in language education. So it is my pleasure to be your host, Isabella, and whenever you want, the floor is yours. So
thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you so much for coming. It's really an honor to be talking to the APAC community today. I'm based in Brazil. I'm in Rio de Janeiro right now. It's quite hot here. I've been following some of the sessions and it's been really enriching. I've been following, I could get the glimpse that you have been facing some challenges in curriculum and changes, right, in the past years. And it's impossible not to make some comparisons to the changes that we have been having here in Brazil as well. And many of the changes, they are kind of similar. So let's talk a little bit about our session today, right? So the title is Working with Projects, like main course or dessert projects. I'm not sure you have heard this idea of main course or dessert project. So if you have, I'd like to hear how you feel about it. If you haven't, let's see how you feel about it. So just a reminder. So this is a little bit of who I am, as Juan has already beautifully put. Thank you. But this is really a little bit where I like to be. This is me with a group of teachers. I really like being with teachers, with like-minded people. I do believe that professional development is something that makes us stronger and wiser and better people and professionals. So it's really nice to be a part of this movement here at APAC. So just to remember, remind us the focus here. So the idea of the session was the use of projects to promote the use of, I have problems with Zoom. There is something in the middle of, okay. The use of projects to promote greater involvement of students with their own learning process has been increasingly discussed. It engages them in learning that is deep and long-lasting. So in this session, the presenter is going to discuss the definition of what a project is, share some of the findings that I've had using PBL with young learners, and provide you guys with some techniques to make learning more visible for the stakeholders involved in your context. So taking into consideration that we are like petit comité, can I ask you if you have been working with projects? Yes, no, which age range you have been working with projects with? You can put on the chat or open the mic, it's fine. Can I see the chat? Juan, can you help me?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one participant that said that a little bit.
A little bit. Cross-curricular projects. Okay. We do not have books, not even in English classes. Okay. Fourth graders. All right. Okay. All right. So you have to work. I understand that if you don't have books, you have to work with projects throughout the curriculum, right? Not as an add-on. Right? Okay. All right. So, okay. So Thanks for pitching in. I'm going to share a little bit with you my context for you to understand from where I'm talking about and what I mean by and my motivation also, right? When I talking about projects from my perspective. So the context that I'm talking about is a context when I'm talking about primary learners. I'm talking about 7 to 10-year-old kids, Brazilian kids. They studied 2 hours per week at a binational center, a language center in Brazil. And per semester, they had like 36 hours of instruction. Okay. So they had regular class at school and they went to English classes as an extra, right? The parents pay an extra so that they can learn English at a language course. This is the context where I've worked with projects and primary learners. And my motivation, I'm going to be very honest with you. So there is someone that has 3 hours per week. Okay. My motivation at first was competition, because competition can be a very good catalyst for change, right? And dropouts. What happens is that in Brazil right now, in Rio de Janeiro, there is this huge movement of bilingual schools. Every school is going bilingual or joining this bilingual trend. I don't know. The bilingualism is not exactly, there isn't a legislation here. So parents are buying the idea that their kids are going to learn English at school, so they don't need to go to a language center anymore. And many regular schools, K-12 educations, they're starting to adopt the books that language centers used to adopt. So what happens when parents got to our language centers, they saw the same book that their kids' school had adopted, and they started removing their kids. And then I said, well, we have to think of something else. And then reading about PBL, reading about education, and going through like 21st century skills, I started thinking of possibilities of bringing the primary curriculum towards a more real curriculum for today's students, right? And when I'm talking about today's students, I'm talking about what literature shows us and what my 8-year-old kid shows me, right? I feel that they have been learning differently from when I learned, different sources of information. They get content from different ways. They consume content, not only from school, but YouTube, internet, Minecraft, Roblox. So those things, as well as the need to have a more diverse and inclusive curriculum, made me go towards PBL. All right, so this is the context, and this is the motivation that led me through PBL curriculum from primary learners. Okay, questions here. Do you have a very opposite context of a somehow similar context of mine? Could you share? Do you have some similar traits? Does anybody work at a language center, or everybody's in British Council? Okay. After school. In the British Council, you also have after school. Okay, Joe. Okay. All right. Okay. In state school. All right. Then I'm gonna share with you a video that somehow helped me go from using textbooks to go to projects, right? I think it has a lot to do with the kind of curriculum we can build by using projects. I'm gonna have to remove my headphones. Just a second, so that you can listen. All right. I'd like you to see, and if you how much do you agree from a 0 to 100%? How much do you agree with Neil? He's a physician, okay?
Kids are sources of chaos and disorder.
You don't have the audio?
No, I think that some parts are frozen. So if you can share the link in the chat.
Okay. Sorry about that. Do you prefer to see the video and then we come back at your own pace? It's a 3-minute video, but it's worth it. Okay, I'll wait. Why don't I share the screen video with, because I don't know how to do it. Because I'm not I don't know how to use Zoom, I'm sorry. I know how to use Google Meet. And then I'm sharing. How can I share? I'm sharing.
Yeah, you are already sharing the screen. So I think that it's a
but
problem
not the tab. I think
with
she
your
means I should share the
computer.
tab, right? Let me know when you finish it. All right, some people have finished. I'm glad you liked it, Sonia. So how much do you agree? Like when I saw like kids are sources of chaos and disorder, I was like, oh, come on, not that much. But then while I was like watching the video, I could get what he meant by that. They're not going to be tied up all the time, right? And somehow, when we are depending on how we are managing our materials and our curriculum and our course material, sometimes we are preventing them from creativity or preventing them from choice, preventing them from getting more opinions on the curriculum. And this is all to tell you why one of the reasons for choosing not adopting a different course book and going to PBL instead. So how much do you agree? If you can put on the chat box from up to 100%, how much do you agree with this physician on the chat box? All right. All right. Thank you. When we made that change, we used a very, very good course material, very nice, from a very nice publishing house. And our course was actually very good. Kids joined the course when they were 7, they left around 9, 10, and they had a very good level of language to join the preteens course. So what did we do? We thought there are things that we want to keep as course goals, but there are things that you want to change. So what we wanted to keep the level of proficiency that students left. We want to keep most of the language structures, but we wanted to change somehow how students got there, right? And that's what we did. And as we are talking about projects, I would like us to agree here on the definition of what project is, right? When we are talking about project today, projects and young learners like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, usually, if you have been working with primary learners and primary learners, when we see the word projects and very young learners, pre-primary learners, primary learners, what usually comes to your mind? You can put on the chat box, you can open the mic, like
here in
if
the
you have
chat, they are saying creativity, personal response, relates to their own reality.
Language that they want to use. Okay, all right. This is a matter of perspective, right? From where I come from, when we see the books that we adopt in Brazil, when we see projects and we usually have, used to have, it's been changing, right? We used to have a project would be something like that. Okay. So it would be something that the student would be at the end of a unit. Have you ever used books like this? Like what the unit is about. This is a can-do statement, right? Now I can. So Joe, you have used books like this. Do you think that the books have been changing a bit? Or you still find books like this in your context? Because here in Brazil, we still have lots of books like this. So usually, if you look at this page, if you can see here, the project here was the last thing of the unit, and the student had to make a weather model and say, it's cold in winter, I wear my boots, my coat, and my gloves. Yes, books are moving towards competencies, but they still focus too much on grammar, in my opinion. Yes, especially, in my opinion here, in my context again, if you are coming from a language center, right? So this is what teachers from where I work see as projects. And let me be very, very clear. I think this is a good activity, right? But when we are talking about projects here in this session, we are going to a different perspective, which is what I believe you are more towards in your context as well. We are talking about a main course project, like project-based learning, 21st century skills, based learning. So the project is actually the main course of your curriculum, right? It's not the dessert. It's not like you have a unit with contextualization, and then you have a reading, and then you have a video, a song, and then at the end, you have a project that takes, I don't know, 30 minutes. Okay, so this is something that when you say projects in here in Brazil, it's still, this is what many teachers still understand as a project, right? So if you are going towards a main course project, which is what we are talking about, project-based learning, we are thinking it as the main course of your curriculum. Okay, so where I believe that this is where your curriculum is going towards, right? At the moment. So what I have here in this keyword code is a very short article where I base my presentations based on this article from PBL Works, which is a site that is a reference from the Buck Institute in PBL, right? You can go there if you want, or I can share with you later. We can connect and I can share with you. But basically what they say is that project-based learning for the 21st century is a teaching method in which students, they gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to an authentic, engaging, and complex question, problem, or challenge. So it's quite different from this kind of project, all right? So I'm gonna share with you, this is the site I was talking about. I'm gonna share with you one project that I designed, and the step by step and the framework behind. So maybe it's similar to yours. Maybe you can adapt, steal some goods, and see if it makes sense. So what is there is that they put the main course and the dessert project as this. The different from the dessert project that is more like an add-on to the traditional instruction, that is usually something that you have at the end of the unit. The main course is the unit. It's everything integrated to answer to a big question. So it's driven by students' inquiry. There is something that students need to answer, to investigate, to search, to research. The project, the one that we saw about the weather, tends to be more focused on the product, and main course PBL has to be more focused on the product, but also on the process. So there's a lot of feedback involved. There is a lot of retrieval practice. There is a lot of reassessment, redoing the task, right? It's aligned with standard and academic standards and success skills. I'm going to show you these success skills later on. It can't be completed alone. It needs to be using competencies, as you mentioned in the chat, like in collaboration with the teacher, with other students, using guidance from the teacher. It goes outside the school doors. So you actually share your project with an audience, a real audience, not necessarily the teacher or the peers from your school. And that's one of the main differences that the articles portray. So it's a very short article. I strongly recommend. So far, so good. Would you like to add something, ask something? Am I too fast? I have some time. I think I'm on track in terms of time. Would you like to add something to the chat? Can we move on? All right, I'm moving on. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you. I agree that collaboration and cooperation is essential in PBL. Yes, Joe, and you know, I had quite a bit of resistance because people think it's very hard for primary learners to collaborate and cooperate because they don't have the language, because exactly, there's definitely lots of training involved, and it's like, it's not a one-step training. There's training that takes time. You have to be coming back and forth. So let's take a closer look of what it feels like. Do you follow a framework when you work with PBL? There is like some framework that you have to follow. What reference do you follow? From state school or? I'm going to show generalities. Okay, I'm going to show you a framework that maybe it might resonate with you. Okay. So help me God, I'm gonna have to share my screen. Different tab. Let's go. Here, I'm going to show you some of the elements in this unit that has a driving question, a project summary, project milestones, final product, and some of the target language that I used. So this project that I'm going to show, I used with 7-year-olds. This one. that's this one. So community heroes, right? So this presentation, I shared with the teachers, okay? So teachers received this material. Remember that I told you that they had 2 hours per week, right? So 36 hours per semester. They only go to class 2 hours a week. So per semester, they only have time for 2 projects only because it's more extensive, right? So this project, Community Heroes, I'm gonna start showing you some of the elements that I put. So it starts with the driving question. So the driving question is what makes someone a community hero, right? So this is the moment in the beginning of the project that you have to make an effort to make it interesting and appealing and make this entry point for students to feel like they want to talk about it. There is some controversy if you should decide the question. I decided that I would decide the question in my context because they were too young and I didn't have enough time for us to get to the question together, right? So I had this, I made a choice. So, and then this is the driving question, and this driving question would like be in their classroom towards the whole project for them to remember, okay? So it goes like this. In this project, students listen to and discuss stories about well-known Brazilian folktale characters who are tireless protectors of our flora and fauna. They also talk about examples of people in their own lives and communities who they have seen working to improve conditions at a local level. These people might be family members, teachers, neighbors, or others. Students work together as a class to create a shared set of characteristics of a community hero. Then each students choose, with support from a teacher or a class-created list, one community hero on which to focus on. Each student uses drawing, sculpture, collage, or another artistic medium to create a portrait of the hero, along with a paragraph, caption dictated to the teacher, explaining who the hero is and how the hero contributes to their community. Students' work will be displayed in a gallery of heroes within the school. So this is the summary of the project that students will have around 16 to 17 days to complete, all right? 17 hours, 17 days of class. And then this project also for the teacher is going to find in this presentation the I stopped sharing my screen? No, it's sharing, right?
Sharing
Can you see?
Yeah.
The key standards. So here, when you click key standards and key, I'm definitely not used to Zoom, I'm sorry. Key standards and key vocabulary, teachers are going to find this. So what are the key standards that we are working with? You're working with social studies, right? Some of the common core standards for literacy, and also the key vocabulary that students are going to be learning. This is for the teacher to have an idea what's going to be dealt in terms of language. Okay. Moving on the presentation for you to have an idea how it's organized. There are also the literacy skills, the success skills that we are going to assess. The major products, remember a gallery of heroes displayed within the school. Here it's a list of the individual products that the teacher should expect to get from students. Students individually are going to produce drawings, sculptures, a collage, a paragraph with the explaining who the hero is and how the hero contributes to their society, and also a set of characteristics for his or her community hero. And as our books are divided into lessons many times, right? So to answer to this question, like what makes someone a community hero, the project is divided into milestones. Okay, so each milestones, surprisingly, is also a question. So each milestone is like indicated here, the estimated duration of each milestone in which students are going to answer this question, like, what is a hero, first of all? To answer the question, what makes someone a community hero, let's scaffold that for students. Let's like try to answer what a hero is. And then students are going to receive some activities. Oops, not working. In which they are going to be working with suggested activities to students to get there, right? And then this is milestone 1. Milestone 2 is, okay, now that you know what a hero is, who are some famous heroes from Brazilian folklore? Because they are very young, right? They are 6, 7. So if you're asking a 6, 7-year-old about heroes, what do you think is coming out? You can put on the chat box. You're asking 7-year-olds about heroes. What do you think you're gonna get? Oh, yes. Neymar, right? True. Batman, Superman, yes, right. Along these lines, right? In Brazil, soccer players are superheroes. So, but what I did, in our national curriculum, at this age, they have just studied folktales and folktale characters that protect the nature and Curupira and Saci. So I tried to bring this to move from Batman, Superman, Neymar, and Spider-Man to other characteristics of heroes, right? Not only superpowers. And then that was milestone 2. And from that, we linked to heroes in our community, right? And milestone 4 was like, what can we create to teach others about heroes in our community? So here, there was, students had to create a portrait of a hero and a paragraph about the hero. And then they thought, how can we share our tributes with others, right? And then here, they had to actually work on their presentation skills. The students' presentations. So they had some time to actually rehearse, work on oracy, okay, and how they would do it. So at the end of this presentation, with the help of a very organized friend, she said, why don't we have at the end a chart called Project at a Glance, so that teachers, they know how many days they will need for each milestone, the key vocabulary they will need for each, and the material they will need. So that's basically one of the projects that we used with 7-year-olds, right? And this is how we designed PBL with these students, right? It's 3:10 where I am, right? Where you are, it's probably 6. No, what time is where you are? 4.
Seven, it's seven.
Seven, sorry.
Yeah.
I still have 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, you have more or less
No.
20 minutes. Yeah.
And it's 15, right? So, would you like to open your mic, ask something? Okay, 6 p.m. Do you have something similar to this, or it's you have milestones, you have to go from a driving question, or not necessarily? Okay. Okay. This one's a mixture of what our kids have and our red tape. Okay, what's a red tape? I'm sorry. Okay, okay. Okay. All right, so moving to something that called my attention, if you are interested in how you can make this the choices that we have more inclusive, right? There is this very nice text in on PBL in which you can find ways to use more inclusive reading, more inclusive text, and how you can make your projects even more meaningful for your students. All right. It really helped me when I was choosing titles, especially for younger learners. So what we saw here were some of the aspects of PBL for gold standard PBL according to the Buck Institute. And towards the end, I would like to share with you some of the strategies that I use to make this learning more visible for what kinds of paragraphs did the children dictate? Okay, Joe, I'm gonna show you a video of a student in a moment, right? Remember that this student, she had been studying with us for like 4 months, all right? Anna put that our projects used to pose a challenge and our children have to do a final product. Okay, all right, thanks for sharing. So PBL and making learning visible, because for us, it was a challenge when we saw that we wouldn't have a physical material. For parents, it was a problem because they felt like kids wouldn't learn anything if they didn't have a physical material. Do you face some problems like that, or it's not a big deal for you not having a physical material? For us, it was a problem. And then we started thinking about ways to make learning more visible, not only for parents, but for students, right? It can be a problem, okay? But for students. And then we started thinking of ways to make it more visible, okay? So one of the things that we invested in was family letters, right? So we would send families, create a bond, like it was great to get families on board. I didn't think that people would actually read, but many of them did, what was quite amazing. And the letters, they were also an opportunity for not only get parents on board, but to get parents to help us build knowledge with their kids, because we had some suggestions for parents who were more interested, if you want to participate. So they could ask kids about characters from Brazilian folklore that the kid knew. They could share suggestions that they thought to be community heroes, so they could help us tap into this knowledge, right? So this was something that was helpful. Something else that helped us make learning visible for students was the use of rain charts. Rain charts made a huge impact for kids. They really wanted to use it. So teachers were not very convinced of the use of rain charts first. I was not, but there was this teacher who persisted. And do you use rain charts, or you something similar, or you call it another name? Have you ever heard? Because I hadn't myself. Okay. Okay. So a rain chart, it's a chart that you usually invest on this chart. You put on the wall in the classroom. And it should go along with your driving question. So our driving question was, what makes someone a community hero, right? And then during the classes, teacher would like talk with students. What do you think you know? And then they would put on the chart some of the things that they confirmed, some of their misconceptions, some new information, questions that they still have about their projects, and they asked the teacher to add one about new vocabulary. That was very nice, because you see, kids, they have lots of opinions, right? So they asked to add the vocabulary chart. So they confirmed some things, but they had also some misconceptions. Their misconceptions is that heroes have powers, not necessarily heroes need powers. Some misconceptions were that kids are not heroes. They learned during this project that kids can be heroes. And they always learned that heroes are not always strong, that this was a misconception, okay? Something else that they learned, that is some new information, that a hero is not always strong, that a hero is not always brave, that heroes don't always have superpowers, and that heroes are always good. And questions that they still had. What's folklore? They still have this question, right? What's a community? What's the difference between a hero and a superhero? So those were some questions that they still have. And these vocabulary corner that they created with the help of the teacher, of course. And this in yellow here, it's also a rain chart, but it's the rain chart that they created, right? So heroes is good, heroes are friends. So you can have your rain chart as you wish. Are different ways for you to create your rain chart. The idea of having rain charts is to make them visible, to have them accessible for your students. Another way to make it as visible for students, in my context, we had the opportunity of using Google Classroom. So we shared lots of links with parents, so guardians had access to everything. And something that they loved was our photo section, because they had the chance to see kids in action, actually videos and kids production in class, because they go to English class and they don't know what happens, right? So this was somehow a way for them to have access to what their kids were doing, okay? But there are other platforms for you to do that. I don't even know that if Google Classroom is the best one, but it's the one we had, so we made do. And the final presentation, right? So we invited families, we invited other groups that were having class at the same time. So it was really, when we invite people to our house, we get the best cutlery, we get the best cup. So we actually made a fuss about it. We got kids involved to make it nice, right? To create an atmosphere where they felt like, oh, it's going to be a big thing. This is the teacher here. She was in the mother tongue, briefly explaining the project in the mother tongue for parents to understand. And the final presentation, it's actually, I'm going to remove here, see if you can listen. We're actually waiting for Alexandra asked, it's not an initial evaluation. It's there throughout all the PBL, right? The rank chart, Alexandra, yes, it's there throughout. Okay. The idea is to be there, like being built throughout the project. Let me move here. At the final presentation was like very special, right? So kids were super excited to show off. So let me see if you can. They even dressed as the heroes they wanted to be, right? So some were dressed as a vet, some were as doctors, some as soccer players, okay?
Isabella, it seems that there is a problem because we cannot hear this.
You cannot hear?
No.
Yeah, sorry about that. I really don't know.
It worked at the beginning, but now.
Yes, we tested, right?
Yeah.
And now, let me see. Can you?
No.
Let me see if you can. Let me put the link on the. I'm going to put on the link. Joe, I don't know how to share the computer sound because I'm here. I have mute. I have new share because I have this arrow green here, right? There is a box that you click in Zoom when you share the screen. There is a box. I am in the box. There is this more button. Share computer sound. Yeah, mine is not. I'm going advanced share options. Yeah, I'm going to share with you the link because I would like you to see the production of this student. Sharing her.
Yeah, you can also try it next to the microphone.
Next to the microphone, there is alto-falantes. Vocês estão me ouvindo? Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Are you listening? I'm
Yeah,
going to
we can read the subtitles if you want, because we are running a
put here. I'd like you to see if you can, if it's open. See if it's if you can click on the link and see Livia. She had been studying with us for 4 months and a half. She was sharing her community hero. Could you hear? Yay! Great. Thanks. Not like the easiest way for you. I'm sorry for you having to click the link and all the hassle, but still, you see, the thing is, Livia had studying with us for like 4 months and a half. It was her second project, and this was her drawing, right? She was there, brave and courageous, in front of a huge crowd, if you consider that she is like 7 years old, right? Talking about her hero, right? Who is her mom, who is a vet, who can protect animals. So how much of Livia's own opinions in this project, you know, how much she's been building to get here in front of a bunch of people she doesn't know, how many competencies, if you're talking about life competencies, she has developed, right? So as going back to the beginning, and it's not the dessert project, it's the main course. I think it pays off. It's super tiring, but at the end of the day, I really believe it pays off. So I think my time is up, and I hope you can benefit somehow from insights, or if there is something that you would like to ask, or if you would like to connect or ask for ideas, or would like to talk about, right? This is my email and my LinkedIn account. Thanks for being so patient with me and participative, right? Thanks, Joanne, for being so kind.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was indeed really interesting, and I think that
Joanne, I cannot listen to you. I guess I lost you.
can you hear me?
No.
Okay, so now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had some problems with connection, so I was just saying that it was indeed very interesting and very hands-on. So thank you so much for coming to APAC and presenting your proposal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a very nice year, everybody. Right. Thank you.
And I
Bye
hope to
bye.
Very
see
much,
you,
Isabella. Thank you.
you all
Thank you. Thank
tomorrow
you
face
so
to
much.
face.
Thank you so much.